I need to know. Are we listening? Okay. If you drew an individual that was from Germany, raise your hand. Okay. First of all, you put all the slips back, right? Okay. If you are Germany, I need you to relocate over here. If you're not Germany, you're going over there. Take your stuff with you. Okay. Now some of you will be coming back because I have other countries. Are you still talking? Okay. Some of you can just stand because you might be a country that I'm going to pull back over here in this section. Okay. So, Germany. Are you Germany? Nope. Okay. Okay. So these guys are Germany. Are any of you Czechoslovakia? Czechoslovakia, if you'll move down there. Okay. Are any of you Austria? Austria. Fill in these seats here. Okay. So we've got Czechoslovakia, Austria, and you're Austria right there. Poland. Who's Poland? Okay, Poland. I need Poland right here, and we might move Poland over here. Okay? If you're Poland, move in here. If you're anybody else, if you're any other country, just set over here. So all I need over here right now is Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and then Poland. So where are you? Where are you, Poland?
I'm from France.
Okay.
Switzerland, Romania.
Don't worry, you'll all be involved soon. Okay. But the problem with most of you, country-wise, a lot of you just assume it's happening to somebody else. Okay, but you'll eventually be involved. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a document website I'm looking at, and then she shared a document with you. It's from a website called historyplace.com, and it's giving you the timeline for the Holocaust. And you've had that shared with you in Moodle?
It's a Moodle announcement. Yes, sir.
Moodle announcement?
I sent it yesterday.
So go look at your previous emails.
Or you can go to your announcements in Moodle either way.
The timeline?
It's a timeline.
Timeline.
You're going to pull that up. And I'm going to talk about the Holocaust on a timeline. The countries that are involved in the timeline, you will be involved, some of you later than others, and some of you right off the bat. People who are in Germany, right off the bat, you're going to have to deal with the Holocaust. Okay. So does everybody have this brought up on their screen?
No.
If not, find it. You should see it. Okay, so we're going to look at 1933. 1933. Adolf Hitler is appointed in January 30. Adolf Hitler is appointed Chancellor of Germany. And Germany is a nation with a Jewish population of 566,000. February 22nd, 40,000 SA or SS men are sworn in as military police. Okay? So think about it like this. You've got Adolf Hitler, who has come to power, and right off the bat, he starts appointing this police force that is going to be extra police on the streets all over the country that's really promoting his cause. Okay? What he wants. That sort of thing. Okay, and all this leads up to February 27th, 1933. the Reichstag building burns. Now you're probably thinking, see, why does he want us to know about a building that burns? The Reichstag is like your Capitol, the U.S. Capitol where Congress meets. Okay, so you're thinking of your center of government. That building burns. You know, some sort of terrorist act, some sort of, they torch the place. Hitler comes out and he's going to say that it's all because of all this unrest that's going on in the country. That we need to bring some sort of order back in the country. And they blame another political group, the communists. So they're blaming them, even though we know, now that it was the Nazis who come out and burn the Reichstag, trying to make it look like another group. Okay, so if you're a citizen in Germany and you know that the Reichstag burned, that we previously had all these police that were appointed, and you've got a president or a leader, the chancellor, who is saying, we have all this unrest, we've got to have a tighter military, we've got to have more of a police state. You've got to get the people under control and everything under control. And you see something like the Reichstag building that burned, your center of government burned. You were probably believable then. So when you look at the next day, emergency powers are granted to Hitler, okay, which is going to give him even more powers to be a dictator. People are going to approve it because they're like, well, we have to do this to get control. Now, March 22nd of 1933, they're going to open up several different concentration camps. Now, when you look at a concentration camp, I want you to think of that more as a detention center, kind of like a large jail, if you will. The first people that would be put into Dachau, Buchenwald, Ravensbrück, some of those places, it wasn't like you're thinking of the big Jewish concentration camps where they're exterminating people. Now, that will become that. They will mechanize it, if you will. They will streamline it to where things work out really productively. But at first, it's just really a holding place. See, one of the things that had been going on, and really is starting to go on even now, is we're trying to get, or the Germans are trying to get, a pure society. This Aryan society. What does an Aryan look like? Roman, what does an Aryan look like?
White.
White. What else? They're a blue-eyed blonde. Okay? You're talking about blue-eyed blondes, pale white. People who look like they come from Scandinavia. The funny thing is the real German didn't really look like that. A real German would probably, have darker hair. I'm not saying they have, they would have lighter skin, wouldn't necessarily have darker skin, but might have, say, green eyes, brown eyes. Okay? Just like your average American, because, we have a huge ancestry of German in the United States. Okay? Not necessarily blue-eyed blondes. What type of people do you think they're going to send to Dachau, or Auschwitz, not Auschwitz, because that's where we don't have Poland yet, Buchenwald or Ravensbrück, something like that. What type of people do you think they're going to send initially?
Communists.
Communists. That's one of the main ones they're going to send there first. Communists. Anybody who is a political opposition to them. Any sort of politician, possibly, that was very outspoken. Might have sent somebody who owned a newspaper who was, publishing something against you. Those type people. Now, the other type people that they're going to start, and we'll see in just a minute, that they're going to start systematically getting and putting in those places, are people that they deem as unacceptable to society. That's going to be people like you're chronically unemployed, you're homeless, criminals, just any of that kind of stuff. They're going to send there. Of course, we're going to see where, because of certain laws that are established, when things like homeless, if you're homeless, you'd be sent to there. Well, if they take your property away, they take your job away, they take your business away, of course you're going to be homeless. And that's one of the ways that it looks like that, or it sounds like just on paper, that we're systematically pulling out all types of people, which they were. But it really did hit home to people who were Jewish when they started doing some of these other things that you'll see in just a second. Okay, so the German parliament now passes the Enabling Acts. And the Enabling Acts make Hitler a dictator. They're going to allow him to just do what he wants to do without any sort of recourse. On April 1st, Nazis began a boycott of Jewish shops and businesses. So you're not going to be allowed, or you're not going to be, it's not going to definitely be promoted that you're going to shop at a Jewish business. So Jewish businesses are starting to really lose, profits. Of course, they're eventually going to be taken away. The Gestapo is born. Hermann Göring is appointed the head of the Gestapo. And of course, we know the Gestapo is a branch of the secret police. See, here's the thing. You have the SS, the stormtroopers, all these military groups that are investigating everything and everybody. They're learning everything about you. They're learning everything about people who are in the military, everybody in government, all those things. And each group would even check up on one another. There's always this conspiracy aspect. Now they come up and they decide that they want to define what an Aryan is. Okay? And again, they're trying to purify. We'll see in just a little bit to where they're going to create something, a document that would help them try to purify what a German looks like. May 10, we had the burning of books in Berlin. They ended up taking books that would maybe look bad on Germany, or possibly promote other nationalities within Germany that they didn't approve of. Maybe a gypsy wrote a book, or maybe a Jewish person wrote something, or just something that they just didn't, think. Maybe it was on communism. So they took all these books out and they had a big book burning. Guys, when you live in a society that starts going to libraries and schools, things like that, and start taking books out that people can read, at free will, and they start burning them, you need to think about relocating, because that's just not the place you need to be. The idea that there are people and places, even across America, that sometimes want to ban certain books. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand, banning a book, in say a junior high that would promote, I don't know, pornography, that kind of stuff. You're not going to have, that type of books in your facility. But, we have people who protest things like Huckleberry Finn, Slaughterhouse-Five, all kinds of books that are classics that you kind of learn from.
I enjoyed Slaughterhouse-Five. Why did they ban those?
It's banned in certain places.
Why?
Because it wasn't fair.
Why would they ban?
You ever seen the movie? What is it? Footloose.
Oh, yeah.
You need to see that one.
Let's give it
A lot of times based on various people's views of religion. Okay, so going down further, the Nazi Party is declared to be the only legal party allowed in Germany. And one of the things too that's interesting, first of all, when you only have one political party, your opposition, if you have anybody that's in opposition, they're probably already going to that concentration camp that we mentioned earlier. You're not going to say much against the government. You're going to be, you see somebody political going along that's Nazi, you're going, hey, I'm pro-Nazi. You didn't argue much. But one of the things on July 14th that I find interesting is that, see, there were Jews that lived in Germany, but they were Polish. Okay, maybe they were there because of jobs, maybe because of families, or whatever it might have been. Or the idea that territories change sometimes. Poland has always been picked on. Okay? But Germany decided, we're going to get rid of you Poles. You Poles who are Jewish. We're going to send you back to Poland. you think Poland accepted them? No, Poland didn't want them either. You know, so there was, and it lasted for, you know, quite a while, but you have this area sometimes between countries, you know, where the border is, and you'll see like refugees. So it's like all these people that weren't allowed to be in Germany, but Poland didn't want them either. So anyway. And who's typing? Or is that you, Christian? Playing with something? Put it up. Put it down. Anyway. See, the idea that sometimes we have that the world was there to save the Jews in Europe, you know, from the Holocaust, is really a fallacy. Most countries didn't want to deal with the Jewish issue. Jewish populations were, for the most part, minority populations in countries. Small percentages, that sort of thing. I mean, you've got to look at, how many people were in Germany? Okay, now first of all, let me also add that census data during that time period might not be perfect. Okay, and you'll see different data on how many died versus how many lived and everything. But at the very beginning of this, it said 566,000, correct? Okay, you know, you're looking at, what, did Germany have about 20 million about that time period? 20 or 30 million? So, you know, you think statistically that wasn't a huge statistic for Germany. Okay. The Gestapo was born under Hermann Göring, so you've got an even stronger branch under the that military state. In July, the Nazis passed laws allowing for forced sterilization of those found by a hereditary health court to have genetic defects. Do you know what that means? Say that there is somebody that, I don't know, maybe they have epilepsy. You know, maybe they have, you know, chronic asthma, something. So what they do to make sure that you didn't carry that on to future generations, they could sterilize you. Do you guys know what sterilization means?
Oh. Neuter.
What?
Neuter.
Neuter. Spay and neuter, just like you do your dogs.
Yep.
Okay? So they could spay or neuter you.
We don't
You
want to
can
know.
look that one up. But not right now.
Neuter or human?
Okay?
I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now, the Nazis are prohibited from, Nazis prohibit Jews from owning land. So again, you know, the idea that the homeless could be sent to concentration camps. That's one of the aspects that would give you problems. Jews are prohibited from publishing or being newspaper editors. You couldn't run a newspaper because you might say something that they didn't want you to say. The Nazis passed a law against habitual and dangerous criminals, which allows beggars, the homeless, alcoholics, and the unemployed to be sent to concentration camps. Now again, we look at that sometimes and we automatically just assume it's Jews. It could have been anybody. Anybody during that time period. You know, they went into kindergarten classes. I've told you this story before. They go into kindergarten classes and they determine whether or not an individual is a nuisance to society. So if you had some sort of deformity, if you had some sort of learning disorder, something like that, you know, they're going to line you up to give you your shots, because that's what people did back then. They might give you smallpox or something, you know, if that were around. So they give shots, and some medical official is back there, and he puts a minus sign on your document, and then lo and behold, you get a shot, and then the parents are told, oh, he died from a reaction to the shot. When reality was, they gave him a shot that caused him to die. Or they would take them from the parents and then say, well, we're going to take him to a facility that we can treat him. He'll be just fine. and then you know, hear a few days later, a month later, whatever it is, oh, he got the flu and died.
Doesn't that?
Or they go into mental, you know, hospitals, the insane asylum, you know, we used to call them. They would go into those places and just, you know, systematically kill those people because they're a drain on society, they're a drain on resources, or nursing homes. You know, and we're talking about any race, any, you know, nationality. Just immediately. Okay? So, we're through with 1933. Now what we do, and you might think it's a little morbid, but I want you to understand the devil's arithmetic involved in being a Jew and surviving the Holocaust. Okay? So after each chronological year, we roll a dice. And only those that are involved. So only Germany right now. We haven't involved any other territories or states or anything like that. Just Germany. You'll roll the dice. You roll a 1 or a 2, you die. You didn't survive the Holocaust. 3, 4, or 5, you survive to roll another year. If you roll a 6, you can escape. But you have to roll the dice again. If you roll a 6, you made it to Switzerland, you made it to Sweden, something like that. You got out. Okay? If you roll a 1 or 2 like before, you're dead. If you roll a 3, 4, or 5, you're sent back to the concentration camp. Okay? Okay, so, if you're Germany, roll dice. You got a 3, you survived this year. Okay. You got a 6, so you escape. If you roll another 6, you survive the war, or the Holocaust. You got a 4, we caught him back, we put him back in the concentration camp. He rolled a 5, he survived. Boom. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to relocate. You guys over there are going to move up closer, maybe over there, and you're going to get set close to the door. You're going to give your star to Dr. Evers. Okay, and now you're going to. Now, did you die?
No, not you.
She died. Unless you want to volunteer. You're German? Okay. Okay, you could escape. If you roll another 6, you escape. A 3. Okay, I'll put you back in the concentration camp. Boom. So you'll relocate over there, give your star to Dr. Everson.
What do you have to buy?
3
Wait, what do you have to buy?
3 through 6 to survive, but a 6 will let you escape. You want a 6 and a 6.
Roll it.
6, okay? So roll again. A 6! You survived the war! You survived! Oh my goodness! You survived! You're the first person. You might be done with all these. Okay, so what you're going to do is we're going to put him.
Oh, I got a new poster for them.
You got a new, okay. Why don't you go sit up front?
Yeah, I can sit up front, but I'll get a new poster for them.
He escaped. Oh my gosh, the devil's arithmetic worked for him.
Good job over there.
They are there.
Okay, hope you enjoyed your life in school.
That's the,
Okay, now we're going back to notes again.
that's kind of mean.
Okay? Now we're at 1934. Jews are banned from German labor front. Okay, think about it. Germany probably didn't want people to work in, say, an ammunition factory or arms factory, you know, because you might end up, you know, doing some sabotage or something like that in case they were making some sort of device that would hurt you. Who didn't survive? Who else didn't? You need to move over there and sit. I'm lining you up on that wall. I mean, on that, by the door. So those of you that did survive, get up and move over for them. Okay, because they're taking your spot. Is it just 2 of you or was it 3 of you?
Just us 2.
Okay. Okay. Jews not allowed national health insurance. Then we have something called the Night of the Long Knives. This is really, really interesting. It actually didn't involve Jews. Hitler Goring, Himmler, all those, you know, officials that were bigwigs, they ended up, I guess, brainstorming, working with other close officials, and they determined who within the Nazi Party, who within the German government might possibly not be following their way of thinking. Okay? So maybe people that were military, maybe people who were politicians, something. But maybe they had a different sort of, you know, philosophy, or they wanted to do away with it, or whatever it was. So on this particular night, they were purged. Okay? So military forces went into their homes, they, you know, found them at work, wherever it might have been, and they did away with them. And what I mean by that is they killed them. They might have sent them to concentration camps. Chances are they just shot them where they were at. Okay? So, you know, again, think about it from the perspective of the future leaders, the future people in the military. You probably weren't going to go too much against what Hitler wanted, because you already knew of the first purge, the Night of the Long Knives, where they got rid of so many people. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened in history, not the last time. Stalin did that with the Russians, with the Soviets. He's done that. China is doing that kind of now with some of their officials. They're sending them off to prisons or wherever. Okay. The SS becomes an independent organization. So, you know, you had the Gestapo, you had the SS, you had the SA, you have all those different groups that now have special tasks to do. Jews are prohibited from getting legal qualifications. You know what that means? Remember, there's a court case that we had in the 1800s, prior to the Civil War, and it was Dred Scott versus Sanford. And in the end, the Supreme Court came in and said that, you know, a slave was a slave, and a slave couldn't sue its owner, regardless of what they did. Well, this is almost the same thing, except it's saying that, you know what, we don't recognize you as a legal entity. You can't sue. You have no legal qualifications to even have a lawsuit. Okay, so whether or not we're taking your property or we're treating you badly, you can't sue us, because we don't even consider you to be even, you know, a human, for that matter. Next, President von Hindenburg dies, and Hitler becomes Der Fuhrer. Okay, that's his title that he uses, the Fuhrer, or Der Fuhrer. It's funny, I think, because remember, there's only one political party. Hitler runs for office. He's elected with a 90% approval rating. Okay? Now, of course, there could have been people who wrote in, I guess, you know, other candidates, or some people who turned in a ballot and didn't vote. But 90%. Uh-oh, we finished a year. We have to roll again. A 4. A 5. Oh, does he escape? Roll another 6. Oh, boom, he died in the escape. He got his hope up. A 6, did you escape? Boom, you died in your escape. Okay, so go sit over there. Those of you that are alive, move out of their way. Okay, turn your star into Dr. Peterson. Okay, remember that the whole point of this is that way you can understand the difficulty it was to survive. Okay? That's you. Okay, he's reporting back. Okay, 1935. Nazis banned Jews from serving in the military. I think this is a major problem. You know, of course, hindsight's 20/20. You know, the idea that you know what happened in history, you know, and everything, so we kind of know what happened. If he would have been thinking correctly, think about this. You had all these Jewish people who could have fought in the military. Attack a country. Send them to the front of the line. If they die, they die. If they kill somebody, that's just one less that you have to worry about. anyway, but he didn't do that. They banned them from serving in the military. Then Nazis passed laws allowing forced abortions on women to prevent them from passing on hereditary diseases. So a woman is discovered, that this woman is going to have a child that they believe, would have hereditary diseases of some sort. And for some extent, that could just be, continuing the line of being Jewish. They don't want that to occur. They want to prevent that. Nazis forced Jewish performers or artists to join the Jewish cultural unions. And that's basically so they can keep up with them. Okay, because they want to make sure that they are going to limit the amount of international fame or knowledge that people would have. They just kind of disappear. And then they passed something called the Nuremberg race laws. Now that is further down on a document, I believe. Where do you have that? Or is it a link? Is that what it is?
It's actually at the very bottom of it. If they go to the very bottom, it's at the very bottom.
Okay, so go to the very bottom of it. Okay, the Nuremberg race laws. Nuremberg race laws were actually quite interesting, and they really went pretty elaborate. Say that you were an individual and you declared yourself to be German. Well, they went through and they had already figured out your heritage, because at some point, like a census, they brought you in and you told them people that you were related to. You told them about your parents. You told them whether, what religion they were, that sort of thing, nationality. You talked about your grandparents. You talked about your cousins, all that other stuff. Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to purify that that Aryan race. They're trying to make sure that they continue, to create those blue-eyed blondes. So if they determine that you were carrying on some sort of, bad trait or something like that, they might determine that you can't have children or you can't marry. Or the idea that, like in this particular case up here, you've got a person who is German. His dad was German, his mother, German, but she was half, maybe her mother was half Jewish, something like that. They're trying to purify. Of course, if your parents were Jewish, and even if you declared, I'm not Jewish, they're still going to keep you, as Jewish. They're going to eliminate weddings from people who are Jewish. They're going to prevent people who are German from marrying anybody who is Jewish or lesser than them. Just not the great place to be during this time period. Uh-oh, we ended the year. Great. Boom. You feel special? You still have lots of years to go. Okay. The point is that if you were a German Jew, it's very difficult to survive. Very difficult. Okay. 1936. The German Gestapo is placed above the law. And the Nazis occupy the Rhineland. Remember that during the Treaty of Versailles, the treaty that ended World War I, Germany was told that you cannot send troops, you can't have a military in the Rhineland region. Okay, and they had pretty much done that a little bit. Remember, France sent in its African Corps, a lot of black soldiers and things from Africa to be in the Rhineland area. That had already happened. So now Hitler is going to move his forces, his military forces that already we were told we wouldn't have anyway, but his military forces into the Rhineland. Europe, with countries of France or France or England, those things, they did something called appeasement. To appease somebody means you're trying to just make them happy. Okay? Would you mind swapping with him? Would you move over there where she's at? The whole point is, You are gonna be moving in the middle. Okay? So, anyway, you're trying to appease them, you're trying to make them happy. You've been to Walmart before and you've seen like a little kid who is pitching a fit in the toy section, or maybe up by the counter where candy is, and they're screaming bloody murder. And then the mom's like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, please be good, please be good. And then she's like, fine, you can have it. You can have the candy bar, or you can have the Barbie doll, or whatever it might be. They're appeasing them. Okay?
Is that another word for spoil?
Not spoil, it's letting them get away with something because you think it's not going to escalate. You think that because you're giving something, you're giving in, that they're going to be better. It doesn't usually happen. I got it.
Keep the stars.
Keep the stars and bring them back.
Had like